Good morning. My name's Barry Mitkiff, and I'm out here on a brisk morning. I think the temperature's around 42 degrees. We still have some people playing on the golf course, but today we're between a bunker and a green. We're on 13 green. I'm here with David Reedman and his staff, and what we wanted to talk about today is frost delays. As we're coming up on the end of the season, you're probably going to see some of those appear on the tee sheet before you come out to play. And what I wanted to talk about is how we determine whether or not there's a frost delay, and what we need to know about a frost delay, and how can we better take care of our course when there is a frost delay. So David, when we have a frost delay, how do you determine that we need to delay any play on the course?
Well, usually frost doesn't occur unless it's below, you can get frost at 42 degrees on a very calm morning, but usually it's when the temperature's in the 30s, there's no cloud cover and there's no wind, and you're probably going to have frost that morning. And it's pretty easy to find out if you walk out in your yard and just step on the grass. Grass will generally bounce right back up and stand back up. But if it's frosty and you step on it, the grass will just lay there, because what actually happens is the cells freeze in a grass blade, and when you step on it, it breaks the blades and causes damage for, it could be into next year, depending on what kind of fall we get.
Mm-hmm. So I know sometimes on the tee sheet we see a frost delay. Is that a fluid thing, or is there a way that you determine? I know we push the tee times back when there is a frost delay. Are you out here monitoring the situation? How does that work?
Well, the golf shop thinks that Tony and I are Nostradamus, that we can know what time the frost is going to lift, but we have a pretty good idea how frosty it is, and we can water the frost off of greens, but we still, if we can't get to the green to mow it, because we have to drive through the rough, it doesn't really help us much to water the frost on a green. But if it's a light frost in the rough and we can get it off the greens, then we'll go ahead and mow. That's really the next one. We can't start mowing or preparing the golf course until the frost is gone. So even though the frost may lift at, say, 10 o'clock, we're probably not going to allow golfers until at least 11, so we can get a head start.
Yeah. So by keeping golfers off the golf course when there's frost, it helps alleviate any permanent type of damage that we could sustain if we were to walk on grass with the frost?
Absolutely. And every year we see footprints going across the putting green, and the new pitching green or the old pitching green, we saw footprints going across that, and we need people to stay off of all the grass on cold mornings when they show up to play, not walk across the putting green from the clubhouse or the pitching green from the parking lot.
Mm-hmm. And as the season winds down and we have a few warm days here and there, sometimes we do open the course, but we'll have temporary flags in, which means that you're to stay off the putting surfaces, but you could use the temporary flags. Is that right?
Yes, and that's kind of a, you say, fluid situation. We only need to stay off the greens when they are frozen, and partially frozen.
Mm-hmm.
The worst condition you can have on a green is when there's frozen ground below and they're thawing out on the top. So you get actually what's called root shear. When you step on it, it will shear the roots off from the frozen ground below. So that's the most critical time we have to stay off the greens. If they're completely frozen, we can go back on the greens.
Okay.
If they're in a semi-frozen state, though, we have to stay off.
Okay. Thank you, David. This will really kind of close the season out for us on the Between Two Greens segments. We've enjoyed doing them. We hope you found some value with them. But before we go today, I wanted to mention just a couple of things. One is we had a tremendous amount of activity on the golf course this year. We had rounds, 40% more rounds played this season than we typically do. And David, I think you and your team just did an awesome job keeping the golf course in great shape. From the bottom of our hearts, we really thank you for all of your efforts and everything that you did. As a matter of fact, some of you may know, we had the USGA out here in July, and they gave us a full report on the condition of the golf course, as well as our maintenance practices here. And they had nothing but positive things to say about how we take care of our golf course here at Woodland. So we're truly blessed to have the crew and you. The golf course, we know, is in very, very good hands. We have posted a copy of the USGA report from that visit in July on our internal website, and I encourage all of you that have an interest to go in there and take a look at that. It really is pretty insightful, and I hope you find some value out of that. And in the off season, if you have topics that we didn't address this year, we'll continue this series next year when we start our season. Please let myself, David, or a member of our Green Committee staff know what those topics are, and we'll be sure to try to get those addressed in next year's edition of Between Two Greens.